Previously on Vampire the Masquerade, Big Easy by Night. Silas made it clear to the coterie he didn't want to have any interactions with Ivory Harris. If they met with the drug kingpin, he wouldn't be there. Diane checked with Jeremy on any information the New Orleans Police Department might have on Ivory's whereabouts. Jeremy provided the last known address in Central City, after Diane promised they wouldn't do anything illegal with the information. Johnny went alone. He was stopped at the porch by two of Ivory's enforcers who wanted to know who he was and what he wanted. One of them went inside to check if Ivory knew a Johnny Morrow. When he returned, he frisked Johnny before letting him in. In the back of the house, Ivory sat with his boys. Johnny let Ivory know he knew he owed Ivory a favor, and he fully intended to pay Ivory back for his generosity in the past. But he needed another favor. He was looking for a man named Amelin Kent. Ivory was also looking for Amelin. Amelin was the man who sent him to prison. He'd been looking for him for 5 years without success. Johnny wondered if Amelin had any family that could be used as leverage. Ivory informed Johnny that Amelin had a pretty little sister, who was a very good customer of his. He was willing to give Johnny information on the sister in exchange for another girl, to replace her. Johnny offered to do one better. He'd give Ivory Amelin Kent. If Johnny could bring in Amelin, Ivory was willing to wipe all debts between the two. Heather could be found working at an aptly named No-Tell Motel, run-down former motel turned crack den. When the coterie reunited, Johnny gave the address to Silas. Silas was ready to immediately head to the motel and rescue his sister. On the way over, Johnny told Silas about the arrangement with Ivory. If he gave Silas to Ivory, all his debts would be repaid. At the motel, Johnny offered to go in and retrieve Heather, to save Silas from walking in on his sister. Silas thanked him, but assured him he could handle it. He went in alone, to find his sister out of sorts and, in flagrante delicto, with an unsavory gentleman. He took out his gun and cracked the gentleman across the head with the butt, knocking him out. Heather was pissed that someone had interrupted them, then wondered if she was hallucinating, or if this was really Amelin. She was pissed off that Amelin had disappeared and her life had gone to hell. Now all of a sudden here he was to rescue her. Where the fuck had he been? Silas told her there'd be time to fight later. Right now, she had to get dressed and it was time to go. He wanted to take her back to the hotel, but Mia disagreed. Her 5-star hotel had standards, and in her current state of dress, Heather did not meet those standards. She was willing to get an outfit for Heather to make her more presentable first. While Silas and Mia discussed his sister, Johnny rifled through the wallet of her John, stealing the cash within. At the hotel, Mia provided Heather with a change of clothes and a basic room. Silas got his sister checked in, Heather asking if he was holding. Despite the fact that he was, he told her he wasn't. He realized she needed help, but he had concerns with checking her into a rehab facility in New Orleans. He needed to get her away from the mayor. He considered one of the hospitals for the time being. Mia took pity on the girl, offering a possible solution to Silas. Her contacts in Chicago had connections with the church, and could set her up with a rehab facility there. Jason would be able to fly her out to Chicago in the morning. She'd be safe. Silas was grateful for her help. Johnny decided this was as good a time as any to finally confide in the coterie about his own problems with Jenny, and his curiosity with the Venture Tower downtown, and why her husband spent the day there. While Heather slept, safe at the hotel, the coterie headed to the Central Business District to check out the Venture Tower and the Fear Nothing Foundation. Silas looked up the group on his phone on the way over, seeing that the foundation mostly dealt with at-risk youth post-Katrina. With the late hour, the only person in the lobby was a security guard. Before he could properly react to the coterie's presence, Diane charmed him, compelling him to take them up to the 35th floor. Once in the Fear Nothing Foundation, Silas parked himself at the reception desk, hacking into their computers to look for anything on Chris. Johnny checked out some of the closed rooms. The rooms within appeared similar to interrogation rooms. There was a central table with a chair on either side, but one side of the table had restraints. Silas found a consultant named Christoph Farkas in the system, assuming that was Chris. He then turned to looking through security footage. One video showed a teen chained to one of the interrogation tables, where the man interviewing the teen bared fangs before feeding on the teen. None of the coterie recognized the vampire in the video from Elysium. Mia told Silas to take a copy of the video, just in case. As they investigated the rest of the floor, they found a hidden door in the back. Mia picked the lock, opening the door to reveal 4 people praying before a black altar with a sacrificed snake on the altar. She suspected they must be connected to the ministry. The ministry members realized someone was watching, demanding to know what the coterie was doing there. Mia asked them the same question. This was their place of worship, and the Constitution guaranteed them the freedom to worship what they wanted, where they wanted. Mia contained the urge to laugh. She did recognize one of the worshippers as the vampire from the video. She asked him if Nick knew what they did here, but the ministry members didn't know who Nick was. Mia then asked if Carafor knew what they were doing. It was then they revealed that they were anarchs and didn't recognize the Camarillas' authority. They were the only truly free vampires in the city. Johnny wanted to know everything they knew about their employee Christoph. They corrected him. Christoph wasn't their employee, he was their landlord. He oversaw the investment the venture group had made in the Fear Nothing Foundation. Mia asked if Christoph was aware of what they were. They assumed he must. Sometimes they kicked a donation upstairs to his bosses. She then asked who the venture group were. It was all in the name. As the coterie already suspected, the venture group were the Ventru. The ministry tried to recruit the coterie into their cult, but the coterie passed. They'd deal with the ministry and their snatching children off the street later. For now, they had more pressing concerns. Mia expressed concern that there was another group of Ventru in the city with a careless disregard for the Masquerade. They returned to the hotel to sleep for the day, except for Mia, who returned to her cathedral haven. The next evening, Jason had returned from dropping Heather off in Chicago. He brought with him a bottle of Italian red wine as a gift from Mia's mentor, Sierra. Mia gave him the night off to sleep. Marvin had more information for Johnny. Jenny was boring. She got up, took her kid to daycare, went to the gym, went to work, got groceries, got the kid, went home. Chris, however, spent another day at the Fear Nothing Foundation. Marvin couldn't find anyone who actually graduated from the program. Kids went in, they didn't come out. Johnny, of course, already knew what happened to them. More troubling was that Marvin learned Chris was a fairly recent immigrant from Budapest. Vlad Kovacs, the enemy of Johnny's sire, was a former Hungarian noble. Had Chris been planted in Jenny's life just to fuck with Johnny? Johnny decided the only way to get the answers they needed would be to kidnap Chris and interrogate him. Mia wanted to know what Jenny meant to Johnny. He explained she was the reason he went to prison. Prison was where he was made a vampire. What did his life end but she got to get married and have a kid and a job and a life? On the way over to Jenny and Chris's, they came up with a plan. Dan would lure Chris out, get him to the van, and Johnny would interrogate him. Mia went with Diane, but the wild roses growing along the path blocked her, a folklore bane of hers. Diane chose to pose as a charity mugger, pretending to be collecting donations for the Fear Nothing Foundation. Jenny answered the door, but upon hearing the foundation name, Chris appeared at the door telling Diane to leave. The warlock charmed Chris to get him to come out, leaving a confused Jenny behind. At the van, Johnny restrained Chris. Beast rose and was rougher than perhaps necessary. Mia chose to fight past her bane and occupy Jenny, to keep her from potentially calling the cops. While the boys interrogated Chris, Mia was going to interrogate Jenny. Dan compelled Chris to answer all of their questions to the best of his ability. The first question was an easy one. Do you know who I am? Johnny Morrow. Next, Johnny asked who Chris worked for. Vlad Kovacs. He then asked what Chris did for Vlad. Chris's job was to keep an eye on Jenny in case she could be used as a weapon. Was the child his? Yes. Johnny wanted more detail on Chris's relationship with Vlad. He met with Vlad once a month, and had last seen him 3 weeks ago. They met at the Venture building. The Ventru there weren't Camarilla, they were free Ventru. The recycling plant was his cover, and was also owned by the Venture group. Besides Vlad, Chris knew 3 other Ventru in the Venture group. Johnny then turned the questions to be more personal. How long had Chris known Jenny? Did Jenny still talk about him? 3 years. And no. Diane then asked why the kid was named Jonathan. Chris suggested it. Johnny responded by breaking one of Chris's fingers. He ordered Chris to write down everything he knew about the Free Vent crew, asking Silas to remotely log into their system using Chris's credentials. Inside the house, Mia demanded to know what Jenny had done to Johnny. He was broken, and it was her fault. Jenny was surprised. She hadn't heard the name Johnny Morrow in over a decade. He was someone she knew in her teens. They dated, did the rebel environmentalist thing, and she hadn't seen him since. She was surprised Johnny still remembered her, and that he still bought into her emo teen ethos. Mia saw many ways this could end, and many of those ways would leave a child without a mother, and Mia didn't want to go down that road. The beast rose and stained her soul. She was supposed to protect women, not threaten to orphan their children. Once they were finished interrogating Chris, the rest of the coterie entered the house. Diane had to fight past his own folklore bane in order to enter the house uninvited. Johnny picked up Jenny's cell phone and crushed it. Mia demanded Jenny fix Johnny. Jenny told Johnny she was sorry he was broken and that he had never grown up. Johnny screamed at her to shut up and stop talking. He couldn't accept that the ethos he had built his life on, that the world was ending because of humanity's actions, was bullshit, and that some teen came up with it in order to look cool. The monster that found him and turned him was all because of bullshit? Jenny admitted that she had distanced herself from Johnny because she hoped that if he went away, the guilt of the pipeline explosion would go away. Johnny shifted into his man-bat form, grabbing her by the throat and lifting her up. He started to slowly choke the life out of her, asking if she saw what she had done. Mia asked if he was sure he wanted to do this. He ignored her. Diane tried to charm Johnny to stop him from killing the mortal, but Johnny resisted. Then, Johnny killed his touchstone. The man-bat ran off, leaping into the night. He thirsted, and even in his rage knew where he could find sustenance at the Venture building. He found one of the Ministry members attacking her. Cleaning up the mess at the house, Diane rewrote Chris's memory so that he thought he was responsible for killing Jenny. His thirst slaked, Johnny fled to his bunker haven, spending the rest of the night there. To be continued.